I'm your educator Shulagna Ghotok. Today I want to brief you about the topic taxonomy, and this is my second video about taxonomy. If you have missed the first video of taxonomy, then you can follow the link which is into the description box. So let's start. First of all, the taxonomic classification. Taxonomic classification is an arrangement of taxa into some particular ranks. Here each rank is called taxon, like domain is a taxon, kingdom is a taxon, phylum is a taxon, class is a taxon. All ranks are called taxon. Each rank contains organisms with similar characteristics. Clear? Now, those two lines are very much important. Like when the taxonomic hierarchy become higher, then the common characters become lesser and more complex, and vice versa, because in the genus or in the species or in the lower hierarchy, few organisms are sorted as their common characters, right? So characteristics will be less complex in the lower taxon than that of upper taxon. Clear? Now, the biological species concept. According to Ernest Mayr, species are groups of interbreeding natural populations that are reproductively isolated from other such groups. So suppose in species A there are A, B, C organisms and species B contain 1, 2, 3. Then A, B, C and 1, 2, 3 can interbreed in among themselves. But organisms of species A and organisms of species B cannot interbreed among themselves. And also if accidentally interbreed, then they can produce sterile offspring but not fertile. So here reproductively isolated means the members of any species cannot interbreed with the members of other species. The biological species concept defines a species as a member of a population which can potentially interbreed in nature but not according to the similarity of appearance. That means members of opposite sex in one species, it is not necessary. That means they should be morphologically also similar. Like peacock and peahen, both are morphologically different, but they can interbreed into themselves because they are from same species. That's why. So when two organisms breed with a species within a species, their genus pass into their combined offspring. As this process is repeated, the genes of different organisms are constantly shuffled around that species gene pool, and that shared gene pool gives the species its proper identity. Clear? Now, some terms in taxonomic study are very much important that you guys have to memorize, such as first of all, numerical taxonomy. It is a classification system which develops as a part of multivariate analysis. That means to see many things of a species like morphological characters, behaviors, etc. That means it is a type of taxonomy in which we can do classification by numerical forms, but not in theoretical forms. Clear? It aims to create a taxonomy using a numerical algorithm like cluster analysis rather than subjective evaluation of their properties. Secondly is the race. It is used only in case of human population. That means though we are from same human species, but our morphological characters changes according to the geographical area. That is called race. Like African human population are morphologically different as compared to Indian human population, right? And thirdly is the cline. The term cline was first coined by Huxley. According to him, a cline is formed by a series of neighbor population. in which a given character changes gradually according to geographical area. That means if we examine by some characters of same species from northern pole and southern pole, then we can find some differences due to geographical pattern change. Clear? Now the isophene. At right angle to the line are the lines of equal expression of the character. That means point of identical phenotype. This type of line is called isophene. So if I am going from north to south pole, then I can see gradual changes as line. But if I draw a right angle through it, then I can get a identical phenotypic character. That is called isophene. Here iso means equal and phen means phenotype. Now the phonetics. Phonetics or taximetrics means as observed in the phenotype. Secondly, it is an attempt to classify organisms based on overall similarity, mainly morphologically, regardless of their phylogeny or evolutionary relationship. Clear? Now the sibling species. Here sibling means brother and sister. That means those species which are morphologically indistinguishable. That means external characters are similar but are reproductively isolated. And by any chance, if they reproduce with each other, then also they can't produce fertile offspring. They only produce sterile offspring. Secondly is the subspecies. Taxonomic subdivisions of species is called subspecies. According to Ernest Mayr, a subspecies is an aggregation of phenotypically similar population of a species, inhabiting a geographical subdivision of the range of that species and differing taxonomically from other population of that species. There are mainly two types of subspecies: monotypic subspecies and polytypic subspecies. Monotypic subspecies is a species that are not subdivided into subspecies, and polytypic species is a species that contain two or more subspecies which are geographically heterogeneous subspecies. Right? Now the cladistics. Cladistics refers to a biological classification system that involves the categorization of organisms based on shared traits. That means organisms are typically grouped by how closely related they are, and thus cladistics can be used to trace ancestry back to shared common ancestor and the evolution of various characteristics. Cladistics methodology is involved the application of various molecular, anatomical, and genetic traits of organisms. Cladistic data is used to create cladograms. So, what is cladogram here? Cladogram consists of diagrams processing a hypothesis of phylogenetic relationship between species based on shared characteristics. So, depending on a given database, resulting cladogram may differ. And also, this approach attempts to identify monophyletic, paraphyletic, and polyphyletic groups or clades. Clear? So, let's see about the groups in details. So, first of all, monophyletic group. It contains its single common ancestor and all of its descendants. Secondly is the polyphyletic group. It does not contain its any of ancestors but all of its own descendants. Okay. Now the paraphyletic group. It contains its most recent or oldest ancestor and one or two of its neighbor descendants, but does not its all descendant. Only one or two descendants. Clear? Now, the phylogenetic tree. A phylogenetic tree is a diagram that represents evolutionary relationship among organisms. So here in this diagram, C has more recent relationship or near relationship with D than that of A, isn't it? Because the ancestors of A and ancestor of C are different as evolutionary history, right? So here D and C contains more recent ancestor. So their characters are more matched or similar with each other than that of A. Clear? So if two species are more related with each other, that means they have more recent common ancestor. But if two species are less related with each other, that means they have less recent common ancestor. Clear? Phylogenetic tree can be bifurcating or multifurcating, rooted or unrooted. So in rooted phylogenetic tree, each nodes with descendants represents the inferred most recent common ancestor of those descendants, and the age lengths in some trees may be interpreted as time estimates. So if we know the age lengths of those, then we can compute the phylogenetic time. So from rooted tree we can compute age lengths and time estimates or phylogenetic time. Clear? Now the unrooted phylogenetic trees, it illustrates only the relatedness of the leaf nodes but do not require the ancestral root to be known or inferred. So here we only can know the relatedness but cannot know the age length or any ancestral connection. Right? Now there are two most important terms, homology and analogy. Homology is a feature in two or more taxa become homologous or similar when it is derived from same feature of their nearest common ancestor. So here in this picture you can see that chimpanzee, human and gorilla, their morphological structure of phalanges are same because their common recent ancestor contain that same character, but maybe their function are different but their morphological characters are same. So this is a very important example of homology. Clear? So here divergent type of evolution can be seen. That means from a common ancestor many groups of species can be arised. So this is a divergent type of evolution. Now the analogy. Analogy is a phenotypic similarity which is not related to community of descendants, but it is due to similarity in functions. That means which taxa has not recent common or same ancestors, but due to phenotypic similarities their function becomes similar during a time of period. So here in this picture, both bats and birds contain wings to fly or to same function, but their ancestors are different because bird is from aves family and bat is from mammalian family. So here we can see a convergent type of evolution. That means function can connect two or more different taxa with each other which have different ancestral population. Clear? Now the homoplasy. A homoplasy is a character shared by a set of species but not present in their recent common ancestor. For example, wings of insects, wings of birds, or wings of bats. All are needed for flying, but their ancestors are different. That's why not carrying that character. So here 3 can fly by their wings, but does not similar by morphologically, because their ancestors are different, isn't it? Now the plesiomorphy. A primitive and ancestral character state is called plesiomorphy or plesiomorphic character, and a shared plesiomorphy by 2 or more species is called symplesiomorphy. That means a character state which is present right from its ancestor, then the character is called plesiomorphic character. And if 2 species shares this plesiomorphic character, then we can call it as symplesiomorphic character. Like quadrupedalism, which was the first amphibian character or plesiomorphic character on this earth, which have the ability to walk on 4 legs. Clear? Now the autapomorphy. A derived trait that is unique to a given taxon is called autapomorphy. That means a character which is unique and gained by itself. Here auta means by itself. Gained by itself by evolution is called autapomorphy, and that character cannot found even in their ancestors. Okay, so it is found only in one taxon, but not found in any other in-groups or out-groups of taxa, not even those most closely related to the focal or central taxon. Clear? Now the apomorphy. It is an apomorphy shared by members of monophyletic group and thus assumed to be present in their most recent common ancestors. That means not sure that ancestors also must show that character, right? This is unique to a particular species and to all its descendants, and so can be used as defining character of that species. For example, feathers in birds. So feathers in birds is a unique character as well as identifying character or defining character, I can say, for Aves family, and also this is a monophyletic character. Clear? Now the synapomorphy. Synapomorphy is shared derived character or trait that distinguished a clade from other organisms. So it is a apomorphy shared by members of monophyletic group and must be present in most recent common ancestors. That means ancestor also must show that character. But in apomorphy, we can see that ancestor may or may not be shared that character, which become passed to next all descendants. That means in synapomorphy, all monophyletic family shows that character or trait. Clear? So, hope your concept about this topic have been cleared after this session. There has provided a link of e-quiz into the description box, so you can score and test yourself by those questions. And if you have any doubt or facing any problem during solving the e-quiz, then after scoring, please ask me into the comment section, and also you can reach to us through our mail ID, which is into the description box. I am so much happy to say that in previous lesson I have got your lots of responses and doubts through mail. So don't miss the chance to get a healthy score. Lastly, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe our channel. Then you can get notification about my next videos, which is coming on every Sunday. Stay safe, stay tuned. Bye.